is lit or light. Keep it safe and make sure there's no fire. Open to YouTube and look for Kids Fire Protection Answers.
Well, hi guys. Today we're going to talk about a phrase that I've been running into a lot lately. It's always been that way. Now that you're here, you're writing it up. Why? Because it's wrong. It should have been written up before. Maybe they missed it. Maybe they didn't know. There's a lot of different reasons. But it depends on what it is. If it's that there's no coverage in an area, while the inspector is correct that we are there to inspect what is installed, it's still not right. Now, do we write it up as an NFPA 25 deficiency? No, because per NFPA 25, we're there to inspect what's installed. Do we write it up as a suggestion for an NFPA 13 issue? Yes. And usually when you write up something like missing heads or this has been built since the last inspection and there's no sprinklers inside of it, or the sprinklers are at the wall or in the wall, that's why it's been written up. Because certain codes require certain spacing. Certain codes require that walls can't be built over sprinklers, that certain portions of fire sprinkler piping and fittings cannot be inside walls and must be separated. There's lots of different reasons. It may have been that way for a long time, but an inexperienced inspector might have missed it or didn't have access to it. So that's why it's getting written up, because it's wrong and it needs to be corrected. Now, is it something that's critical? Possibly not. Possibly. It depends on what it is. If the discussion is missing, and it's been that way for 15 years, yeah, okay, that's not good. That should have been written up the first year that the discussion was missing. If it's covered with a paint cover, yeah, it's a deficiency for NFPA 25 because it's covered. It should have been trimmed out after installation, and it wasn't. If it's covered because they replaced the AC in the AC closet and they covered it with a cup or a piece of a bottle or a piece of foam insulation and forgot it, it's a deficiency. If they install a room a week after installation and it's been that way for 15 years and there's no sprinkler in there, it's a suggestion. There's no coverage in this area, suggest reevaluation and possible coverage to be run to this location. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But there's different types of wrong. There's NFPA 25 wrong, and there's NFPA 13 suggestion because coverage is missing or because the whole room got missed because 2 weeks after they built the building, they realized they needed a storage space. So they added on and they didn't expand the sprinkler system out there because it's an outside area, but it's fully enclosed and covered and not heated. Okay, so now you need a dry system out there. Doesn't mean you don't have to cover it because it was built 2 weeks after installation, and you still need to cover it, especially if it's storage. So while it may have been that way for quite some time, wrong is wrong, and we need to get it corrected just to keep you safe. That's our goal. Our goal is not to just make money hand over fist. That's not the goal. The goal is to keep you safe, keep your assets protected, and make sure that when the fire marshal shows up, he doesn't go, hey, why isn't this covered? And why hasn't your inspector said something? So it's a CYA, but we want to make sure you're covered. Because if you lose all of your commodities, you're not going to be paying us because you don't have any money. So it's not just for that reason. It's to protect you. God forbid anything happen and you don't have coverage there. Now you don't have a claim on your fire insurance because you didn't have that covered. You knew because you put in sprinklers in the rest of the building. Why didn't you put them there? Oh, it was built 2 weeks after, or 2 months or 2 years after you built the building. Okay, well, you needed sprinklers there. You need sprinklers there. You know that. Now, if it's not a conditioned space where it's cool in the summer and warm in the winter, then you need to have a dry system. Just facts. It's going to be a little bit more costly. It's going to be a little bit more of a pain in the rear end and a more expensive inspection, but it's what covers your commodity and it's what covers that area. So you may have been getting your inspections done for years and they just said, oh, there's no coverage in that area, and that's the way they wrote it up. And it's not correct to just write no coverage, because we don't know how big that room is based on that statement. We don't know what's being stored there. We don't know anything about that room. All we know is there's no coverage. Does it need 1 sprinkler? Does it need 30 sprinklers? Does it need a dry system? Does it need a wet system? Does it need a fire pump system? Whereas the building is built so high that standard water pressure is not going to reach that, and it's a high pile commodity, so it needs more water pressure to get. There's a lot of different factors. I'm not an engineer. Your inspector's not an engineer, but he certainly should have written it up as no coverage in this area, needs engineering evaluation to determine coverage needs and system installed. That way, it would spark somebody in the office to go, oh, well, I need to go out there and take a look at this and find out what's going on and get them a quote so that we can get this fixed. Yeah, there's lots of different reasons that it could be that way for 15, 20 years. I was in a condo association down in Florida doing an inspection, and every single head in all of their storage areas still had the paint covers on from installation. This place has been up and running for 15 years. Heads covered in the walkways from installation, never trimmed out. They replaced an E-light next to, literally that far away from the fire sprinkler, which is an obstruction, but they replaced it and still didn't take the cover off the sprinkler and trim it up. So yeah, things can be that way for 15, 20 years because nobody pays attention to them or doesn't know what needs to be done. So yes, an observant inspector will write it up.
When you find your alarm sounds off in the night, don't make mistakes, get answers that are right. Keep it safe and make sure there's no fire. Open to YouTube and look for Kids Fire Protection Answers. Kids Fire Protection Answers. Got questions, he's got answers that make sense. Don't wait the channel to open. Kids Fire Protection Answers.